Hello, and thank you for tuning into this NGRT studio interview at Asian Utility Week 2016. I am Denise, and with me I've got Asmay Amir, and he is the director of BBS Access Singapore. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
So this session will be discussing the enablement of AMI functions of emerging markets. And really what we're going to be talking about here is really addressing the challenges and converting them into economic opportunities. Do you want to just give me an overview of how your company is doing this?
See, when we wanted to participate in the Asian Utility Week 2016, we thought about what is the message that we want to pass on to the audience. What is the idea we want to share with the visitors who come to talk to us to find out what we are doing. So we were thinking whether are we selling energy meters, or are we trying to sell a communication system that works for AMI, or are we trying to sell some software that we think is going to solve the problems of the utilities. When we thought about these things, what came to our mind is that a misconception that's rooted into the industry that we have experienced and seen over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
The smart grid initiative, where AMI becomes a foundation of it. The terminology that was used by the industry to refer to this whole phenomenon is smart metering, because the electricity industry has been always involved with meters. So when they say something smart's going to happen, they put smart in front of it, just like smartphone, and it's become smart metering. And in the subconscious mind of the stakeholders, it's perceived that it's all about meters. And this is one of the biggest problems that I've seen in the industry over the last 7-8 years, especially in the target markets that we work on, Africa, Middle East, and Asia. So we thought, maybe we should address this issue. Start from the from the very basics. Understand what we are trying to resolve, instead of trying to sell something that we already have developed, or we have developed for a developed country, for Europe or for North America. I can bring something that we have developed for North America or Europe and say, you know what, I got smart metering, or I got smart grid solutions, and why don't you buy it? But the reality is that the challenges that are faced by the Asian utilities are completely different from what the main triggers or the drivers of the developed countries. For example, in North America or Europe, one of the key drivers was cost reduction. But in Asia, it's about loss reduction. Forget about the cost. We're losing money. Malaysia is losing about 30% revenue, 30% loss actually. They're running on 30% loss. India has anything between 30 to 40% in different states. So it's not about cost reduction, it's about loss reduction. So that changed the dynamics completely. Right? So what we believe is that, what we are trying to do here, the digital revolution that Asian Utility Week is talking about, is a major thing that's happening. This is the biggest change that is happening since the time Edison invented the whole grid. The concept, in 1882, right? Edison came up with the idea with 400 lamps, and now it's become billions of loads that are connected and managed through a grid. But the technology has remained exactly the same. The hierarchy is exactly the same: generation, transmission, and distribution. Right? So we are using 100-year-old technology and a structure or infrastructure to solve today's problems.
Right.
I mean, that's unreal. You can see it. We don't want to use a Nokia phone that we used in 1990.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for us. So this is about the problems that we are we're going to face in the future.
Yeah.
We are trying to resolve those problems by adopting new technology, and it's a big thing.
Yeah.
It's about our future. It's about the future generations, not only us.
Right.
When we are doing this, we got to think about long term and address the very specific challenges and problems that are faced by every utility.
Right.
It's not a generic solution. So this is the key message we wanted to bring to the Asian Utility Week 2016.
Yeah.
So around that, we came up with the idea of, let's go and say we are enabling the AMI future of emerging markets, which includes Asia, and the message underlying that's sitting behind that is that we got to understand the challenges of every individual utility and find ways to convert them to economic opportunities.
Yeah.
So that's the story behind our team. Yeah.
So it's really about putting on the brakes, and before you jump at any particular solution, have a look first and see what needs to be done first, prioritize that, and then have a look at solutions to resolve those issues, right? So your challenge is not going to be the same challenge as the utility in the next country. But what do you find are the biggest or the most common challenges that utilities face in the Asian region? I know it's a large region, but what is the common one that you see that needs to be resolved quite quickly?
First of all, you know what? You made me very happy. I'm very tired because of all the organization work. You made me very happy because I took 2-3 minutes to explain what I wanted to say, and you repeated it perfectly. So my message delivered. Wonderful. So
you did a good job in explaining. There we go.
Yeah, I'm so happy. Thank you very much. Coming back to the question, the actual question.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest problem I've come across after traveling to about 30 countries in this region is one. See, there is no issue about justifying the need. The business case is established, right? The big brothers, the developed countries have already established the need, and they have proven that the concept works and it will solve many problems that we are facing today and in the future.
Yeah.
However, to bring it home for a developing economy, funding is the biggest problem because it costs a lot of money. So we're talking about billions of dollars of investment in a rollout of 2 million meters, for example. So most countries in Asia who are developing economies in one or the other way, getting the funding for an AMI rollout is a big problem. This is again, I'm coming back to the point I mentioned in my previous answer. Justifying the cost was the problem or the trigger for a AMI rollout in a developed country, for example, North America or Europe, right? But finding the funds is the problem of a developing economy. That's why I say it's different, completely different. We can't address the needs of these markets just the way we address them in Europe or North America.
Yeah. How do you think they're going to overcome this? I mean, that's quite a major challenge, isn't it?
Okay, now you're asking for my confidential information. Right. So, see.
As long as it's all legal.
Yeah, it's personal, I think it's about being innovative.
Yeah.
Innovation has always been the driver behind all the big revolutions or the big changes throughout the human history. So the approach that we take at BBS is to be a bit more innovative. Let's look around and see, what are the other ways we can help these people. Okay, we need AMI, we need a future smart grid, right, to solve our problems. But how do we bring it home? We may have utilities who are really keen to go for AMI rollout, and they have gathered the information that they require, done their analysis, identified the right solution, the specifications, and so on and so forth. Yeah. But money might not be there. So how do we find the money for them? How can we help? I would not go into the details of how I'm going to resolve, but I think innovation is the name of the game, right? Not only in the technology, but in the way we do things.
Yeah. Let's talk about AMI. I mean, what are the economic opportunities for this region? What are we missing out here right now? How will AMI change things?
See, if you visit almost any country in Asia and try to identify several, say three issues that they are facing, right? One of the issues would be the cost of energy, which is impacting the day-to-day life of every citizen in the country. Another would be energy loss, not necessarily technical. In a developed country, the technical losses are one of the issues. They want to reduce 1 or 2%, but we are talking about non-technical losses of 20-30%, right? Which is massive, which are subsidized by the government's budget, right? So the money that's been allocated to infrastructure development, say roads, or to improve industrial sectors, right, are being utilized to cover the losses of utilities at the moment. In many countries, I can give you, it's in public domain, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, India, the public money is being used to cover the losses that are incurred by the utilities. right? So that's a direct impact. You know, you solve that problem, reduce the losses, you save money for other projects. However, the demand for electricity is increasing day by day. Every day the demand is increasing. Rural electrification is one of the highest priorities of any economic agenda in any of these countries in Asia, right? So the demand is increasing. That now meeting the demand with the required supply is a big challenge. You know, the cost of fossil fuel, right, which is the key source of energy at the moment, right? Okay, now if you want to replace it with renewable energy, the cost of renewable energy is very high comparatively. So it's an economic problem,
Yeah.
right? So coming up with a way to manage the demand and supply of electricity,
Yeah.
it doesn't only solve the problems of the electricity industry, it helps to solve the problems of the entire economy,
Yeah.
right? And another interesting thing that I came across, if I may mention that to take another minute, you know, the large AMI rollouts cost billions of dollars, right?
Yeah.
So that has its impact, and whether they can get the technology required from local companies or not is a big problem as well, because you have, say for example, if you have $2 billion investment towards a particular AMI rollout, okay, if you import everything from overseas, it has a major impact in the GDP, right? So it's not only about the meter and the communication, the software. It's about, okay, can we get these done locally, or what part of it can be done locally?
Yeah.
This is another major area. The AMI rollouts, the coming up AMI rollouts are going to have economic impact in this region.
Yeah.
So we can talk about this for another 2
Yeah.
hours. But you know, in summary, there is it's an economic problem,
Yeah.
and it's not a problem of today. It's a problem about the future. Not only future of me and you,
Yeah.
we're talking about the next generation.
Right.
So it has major impacts. So as you rightly mentioned at the beginning, you put the right words in my mouth actually. Take a step back.
Yeah.
Let's look at the root cause of the problem. What are the specific problems me and you are trying to resolve right here?
Right.
Forget about the problems of the neighbor. Forget
Yeah.
about the problems about the other continent. Let's look at our utility. What are the priorities, and craft the solution to
Yeah.
address those challenges.
Yeah, because resources will be different as well, you know, from utility to utility. Esme, in your opinion, what are the most exciting AMI markets at the moment in Asia?
You know, the whole Asia is very exciting. I got to say that. But what differentiates the excitement, right, is, you know, the different ways that different countries are looking at the whole thing. So some of the priorities, in some countries when you go there and we talk to the key stakeholders, the way they have understood the problem, the way they have understood what smart grid is, the way they have understood what an AMI is going to do for them, it's completely different. It shows the diversity. That's what excites me the most. The diversity of the understanding about what we are trying to do. That shows the differences and the diversity in the needs,
Yeah.
what we are trying to address through the theme that we are using for this campaign.
Yeah.
So the most exciting part is the diversity, and the most interesting thing I would like to see in the coming years is that how are we going to deal with this diversity,
Right.
right? Let's see how it goes, and
Yeah.
we got an agenda for the next 5 years. We got a strategy in place to address this particular strategy that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
The campaign theme is actually the core of the BBS strategy for the next 5 years towards emerging markets.
Right.
So yeah, that's very exciting to me.
So where does your company see AMI development over the next, say, 5 to 10 years in Asia? What is it going to look like in your view?
The word ideally is not right, because ideal is never exists. So the way we see it is that the way it should be, the way we suggest that it should be, is that, you know, let's sit down and try to understand what the problems are firsthand. Then take a step back and see what others have done, learn from the experiences from the developed
Yeah.
countries that have implemented AMI, and then see, okay, what are the best things that we can get from that, and what things has to be changed, what has to be added
Right.
to address our own challenges, right? This should take place immediately, because the Asian electricity industry is now ready for the transformation. Right? There are several announcements that we have seen in the media that several countries are planning major rollouts. For example, Malaysia, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. There are official announcements by the ministers involved in it, and there is a lot of funding flowing from Asian Development Bank, millions of dollars. So this, at this stage, it's very important that we address the challenges. I'm repeating this again and again because this is my message.
Yeah,
the challenges that we face in each and every utility. This has to be understood, studied, then look at the solutions that are available off the shelf. Don't take them. Find out how you can convert them to solutions that will solve your problem.
Yeah.
And then craft it, develop it, and localize it.
Right.
Localize it, because it has major impact in our economies, right? Then go for the next step. The buying decision is the easiest part. There are standard processes that are already set. There are tendering procedures. All the governmental utilities have their own process and procedures that are set. It's not rocket science. The problem is before that.
Yeah.
Are we getting the right solution that will solve our problem today and for tomorrow?
Exactly. Esme, any last bit of advice for utilities out there before we close?
It might be a kind of a small repeat, but I'll add some icing to it.
Yeah.
Please don't buy solutions off the shelves. Right? Engage with your vendors. I would be very happy if I was the one, or any vendor, to understand the challenges that you are facing and craft the solution that you need.
Okay.
Right? And as a director of BBS, our doors are open anytime. We are engaging with Asian utilities in a very, very deep way, and we got a lot of resources who have plenty of experience from European and North American deployments as in-house resources at BBS. We're happy to share.
Great.
You don't have to buy from me, doesn't matter. But let's work out the solution together.
Esme, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoy the rest of the event. And to our viewers, thank you so much for joining the session. If you want further insight into Asian Utility Week, please have a look at our other videos, which are on our website, injurati.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much.